Literacy and the standard of living in Latin America. A literate person is one who can read and write. Literacy is a major factor in whether a person is able to get a job and be successful in the workplace. The countries of Latin America have improved the literacy rate of their people. On average, 89% of the people in Latin America and the Caribbean are literate. That leaves an illiteracy rate of 11%. The standard of living, which is the economic level achieved by a person, family, or country, is often lower in countries where the illiteracy rate is high. In some countries, it is believed to be more important for boys to have an education than girls. This fact is shown in the fact that 12% of girls are illiterate in this region, while only 9% of boys are illiterate. In some countries, the difference between boys and girls' literacy rates is very large. In other countries, the illiteracy rates are about the same. Either way, the goal of most governments is to have 100% literacy among their people. Many governments, missionaries, and aid groups come to the poorest of these countries to assist the people in educating all of their children. One reason that many of the poor cannot learn to read and write is because their communities cannot afford to pay for teachers in schools. Having these basic skills, however, is important. Without the basic skills of reading and writing, workers are stuck in the lowest paying jobs. Countries with large numbers of illiterate workers cannot build and operate modern industries. A cycle of poverty can develop in which people cannot get an education, so they can only get low paying jobs. Because they can only get low paying jobs, they cannot get enough money to pay for their children's education. The standard of living remains low for these families because their education level remains low. Literacy rate measures the percentage of people's ages 15 and older who can read and write. The higher the literacy rate, the better the standard of living in a country, and the higher the country's gross domestic product or GDP. There are many consequences of a low literacy rate: limited ability to understand information, lower income, lower quality jobs, often lower self esteem. It is hard for a country with a low literacy rate to be competitive in the world market. Brazil's literacy rate is 92%. However, Brazil has several undeveloped regions in which people can identify words, but they don't comprehend what they are reading. Elementary education is mandatory for children ages 6 through 14. The length of their school year is at least 200 days. Secondary education, or high school, is 4 years, as it is in the United States. The school life expectancy is 15 years. The Brazilian education level is considered low compared to other developed countries, especially in public schools, which are free of charge. Currently, only 1 of the 3 children advance to 6th grade. The government is taking steps to improve the situation of schooling in Brazil. Cuba's literacy rate is currently 99%. The school life expectancy is 14 years. In the 1950s, the literacy rate was as low as 60%, and Cuba began the Cuban Literacy Campaign during 1961. The campaign forced contact between those who lived in the city and those who lived in the country as volunteers traveled across the country teaching citizens how to read and write at no cost. Fidel Castro, the leader of the government, told literacy teachers, "You will teach and you will learn." The government provided teaching supplies to volunteers. Many of the literacy campaign's volunteers pursued teaching careers, and the rate of teachers is now 11 times higher than it was before the literacy campaign. Mexico's literacy rate is 94%. Work began in the 1920s to create a large access to public education. Education standards are regulated by the Secretary of Public Education. The school life expectancy is 13 years. Basic education is mandatory for all children in Mexico from 6 to 14 years of age. Children are required to attend 1 year of preschool education, attend primary school for 6 years, and lower secondary school for 3 years. Then they may choose whether to attend upper secondary school for 3 years.